Been a while since I've uploaded anything here. There's plenty of reasons for that. Some bad. In fact, most of them are bad. But that's not what today's video is about. In an effort to prove that my channel isn't defined by its pretentious little name, I've selected two games that I ununanimously enjoyed to talk about today. ElecHead is a puzzle platformer that came out on Steam a few months ago and recently released on the Switch. The game's main mechanic is electrical conduction. You control a small robot whose head holds an electric charge. Everything the robot touches becomes charged, and this can turn on tiles to make them walkable, activate moving platforms, and even charge up damaging hazards if you're not careful. You can also throw the robot's head up, left, or right to set a charge on a faraway platform. However, you can only be separated from your body for a few seconds before self-destructing. If your robot self-destructs, you respawn at the last checkpoint you touched. And if you happen to mess up on a puzzle, you can reset the room by either self-destructing or touching a checkpoint. Every puzzle in the game is styled around these few gimmicks. It sounds like there's not much to it, but I was really blown away by the creativity of the developer and what some of the solutions to later puzzles ended up being. It's really easy to overthink a solution, and there were times where this game made me feel like a complete moron, just an absolute goddamn buffoon because I would focus too hard on the wrong thing. But it never made me feel cheated, which is what I like out of a puzzle game. Just about every room is carefully crafted to introduce a new way to use your powers or test your understanding of them. If you get stuck on a puzzle, chances are that a hint to the solution is just a room or two back, and is probably something you did without even realizing it was the way to interact with the world. The game also uses a very nice two-toned color palette that really helps clarify what is or isn't holding a current. There are a couple of other color choices in the options, but I really like the default orange and blue the most. There might not be much in the way of power-ups, but there are a lot of hidden collectibles to find in the form of golden walkie-talkies. These are typically hidden well out of the way of the main game down secret passages that can often be hard to spot. It's a cool incentive for consecutive runs because the game is pretty short. ElecHead only took me a little over 2 hours on my first try. Whether it's on Switch or on Steam, you really can't go wrong with ElecHead. Mochi-A-Girl is actually a game I meant to review a long time ago. It's a physics platformer that has only been available in the Japanese Switch eShop. It's a damn shame just how little coverage this game has, as even searching the kanji for its title on YouTube only brings up the trailer and a couple of Japanese speedruns with a few thousand views. The concept of the game is simple: scoot around and reach the goal as fast as possible. Your player character is a girl dressed up like a New Year's Kagami Mochi that throws out a paper scroll. The scroll can attach itself to the environment or enemies, and pulls you towards them before giving you a boost of speed. The game does a lot of the same things ElecHead does, and gives you a very specific set of skills at the start that get used in a variety of ways later. Pretty much every surface and enemy in the game can be grabbed, but different surface types will provide different results. Grappling to the ground gives a very short burst of speed, grappling to an enemy will pop you up slightly, grappling to a ceiling lets you swing from it, and grappling onto water is probably one of the best decisions you can make in your life in these trying times.
Oh! Yeah! Fuck yeah! Give us another one! Give us another one!
Finding fast and fun ways to the end of each level is enough of a reward on its own, but Mochi-A-Girl adds a fun little fetch quest into each level. Various low-poly snack foods are scattered about every stage, each more Shenmue looking than the last. Gameplay-wise, these serve as checkpoints, which can be helpful in later levels where dying is much easier. My only real complaint is there's not a gallery mode where you can look back at these things. It's more ethereal than real food, except I didn't get to eat it. Completing the game unlocks a speedrun mode, where the goal is to reach the end, but forces you to pick up clocks along the way to extend your timer. Personally, I have way more fun just zooming around in the default mode, but it's a cool change of pace that has you actively rethink how you approach different levels. The clocks aren't always distributed in the same way that the snack foods are, so you can end up taking wildly different paths to the end. It's a shame the game is Japan eShop only, because you can play it perfectly fine without any Japanese reading skill. Thankfully, creating a Japanese region account isn't that difficult. Unfortunately, the game is listed under its Japanese name. Don't worry though, friends, I've got you covered. That about does it for this short episode of Games I Really Enjoyed, so please go buy them and support the devs. Come back next century when I find 2 more games to make living on this boiling hell rock of a planet slightly more tolerable.